Hello and good morning and welcome to the Retained Recruiter Show. My name is James.
And my name's Joe. Thanks very much for joining us again today, everyone.
Great to see you all here. And we're delighted today, Joe, to have two very special guests with us, James and Paige from Primary Consulting here in the UK. So we're going to sort of share their journey with them today. But Joe, what have we got in store for everybody today? What are our plans?
So we're not going to do most of the talking, so everyone will be really happy about that. So we're gonna interview James and Paige, and we've been working with James and Paige for a while. And my James, everyone has to be called James on this show today. So my James in a moment is going to give you a bit of an introduction to James and Paige, but we've been working with them for a little while now, and we thought, you know what, a lot of people watch these programs that we do and they think, yeah, but look, you know, you guys are trainers, you've done this for years. So actually we thought, well, what we'll do is we will bring on some people who have actually done this in their own businesses and have lived to tell the tale, but also should be able to, you know, give us some success points today. So that's why we've asked James and Paige onto the show today. So we're going to talk about, you know, transitioning from contingent to retained, the reservations, maybe the challenges, the successes, but also we're going to pick your brains, guys, to try and get some top tips, because we know we get a lot of business owners who listen into these shows who just sometimes they just need to know how to start, really. And obviously you guys have been there. So if I hand you over to James O'Brien, my James over here, and James, could you introduce the guys for everybody who's listening?
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, in terms of what I want to say is, you know, we do appreciate you coming on, because what we like to do is we like to get real people on, not that Joe and I aren't real, but it's really good to get people on who are at the coalface. And the recruitment industry it's a very fragmented industry, and lots of businesses come in very different sizes. And James and Paige, I'll get you guys to introduce yourselves and sort of say a little bit about who you are. So your chance to do a little bit of self-promotion. But we want to make this real, and that's the whole point of today. And obviously, you know, you've got a lot of recruitment experience, and obviously you've had your own journeys. And like most people listening in, you know, we all do business in a certain way, and then at some point we reach that point that says, you know what, there's got to be a different way or a better way that I want to do things. So I want to hear that journey from you in terms of the challenge it makes, because when we do get clients who come work with us, they always have a few reservations, you know, in terms of before they can think, shall I do this? You know, go to that. But before we get into that, you know, James, why don't you introduce yourself, and then Paige introduce yourself as well, and talk about your business and what you do. So yeah, here's your moment. You ready?
No pressure, no pressure. Well, thanks first of all for the invite, guys. I really appreciate it. We're Premier Consulting. We were founded in 2018. We're specialist recruiters across quite a broad spectrum of engineering disciplines. Like you said, we set up the business 4 years ago. We wanted to evolve as a business, and we took the leap of faith with our intro.
Good. What's your background, Paige? Give you a little intro.
So I've been in recruitment for about 11 years now, and James and I worked together at a previous company, and he actually used to manage me. Now I manage him.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, set up the business in 2018. It was, you know, things have been going exceptionally well. During lockdown, things pretty much fell off a cliff.
Yeah, but we used that time to join our intro, and we're sort of glad we did it at that moment in time. Definitely. I think if we did it now and we were busy as we are, I think we'd be working 24/7, you know. So we did it at the right time, definitely.
And your background, guys, in terms of, you know, I mean, when you started up your business, it was a traditional recruitment business delivering contingency recruitment. So what is it that made you think about doing something different? Was it lockdown which gave you some time to think, or were there some other factors?
It was, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think, you know, because we had a little bit of downtime to really work on the business rather than in the business. You know, it was really sort of it was just a really good time for us. We wanted to offer our clients just more than the, you know, standard contingent offering, and just differentiate ourselves more than anything, to kind of keep ahead of things. You know, the recruitment industry really hasn't changed at all, has it? You know, so we just wanted to really level up the business, and that's when I came into play.
We'll come back to that traditional part, because obviously you work in the engineering sector. But before I get to that, so again, when you were thinking about changes, obviously you look around the market and see what you can do. But what not challenge, what reservations did you have before? Because obviously, you know, you spoke to us for a little while before making the decision. What reservations did you have?
It's the fear of the unknown. You know, it's not knowing how to pitch it correctly to your clients. It's not knowing the correct USPs to actually sort of differentiate yourself from the rest of the market. And it's also, you know, how long it's going to take and how much effort it's going to take to implement it into your business. I think that was my biggest reservation, was how long is it going to take to transition to do this?
One of my biggest reservations was our clients come back to us time and time again. So we've recruited for our clients for in excess of 10 to James, even longer. So we've always done a good job. So it's transitioning, you know, helping them understand the value of it, because, you know, if it's not broken, you know, why fix it? And that was one of my biggest reservations, how to pitch to our existing client base.
And just in terms of that then, because I know existing client bases, some people think that that's harder than going out and winning new clients when you're trying to position a retained service. So what feedback have you had from your clients then when you've taken this to them?
One in particular was actually, it was a new client for me, I must admit, and they're actually a Swiss company. And one of the comments initially when I taught them through the portal and the setup and the psychometric profiles, they'd never seen anything like it, and they have worked with 100 recruitment companies. And the first words was, or feedback, should I say, was, this is really professional. Wow. So, you know, it's just that kind of added, I guess, sort of value for your clients. You know, they really, really saw the value in it.
And the candidates have never seen anything like it either. You know, they feel so comfortable with the process. They've really bought into it. And they know that you've got their best interests at heart by recruiting in this way. So, you know, it really adds value from a candidate's perspective as well as the clients.
Yeah, I think with the candidate side, I think we definitely want to talk about the candidate side. Most people are experiencing a candidate short market at the moment, and I know a lot of people have reservations, potentially, you know, especially around retainers, because you're potentially asking candidates to do more than they would do traditionally. But I just want to go back to something that you said earlier on, because I love the way that you positioned this. And when we talk to people at iIntro, they tend to come to us because there's been some sort of mindset shift, some shift normally born out of pain and frustration. People come to us and say, there has to be a better way. You know, we've been doing recruitment for a number of years now. There's got to be a better way for us to add value to our clients' businesses, but also add value to ours. You said before, so I really like the phrase that, you know, recruitment hasn't really changed in a long, long time. So what do you mean by that? And how have you sort of used that phrase to move your business forward?
Well, it's a standard 20th century sort of methodology, really, isn't it? You know, you just fire a CV over to a client and hope it sticks. Whereas, you know, the iIntro methodology goes a level or two below that, above that, should I say?
Steady on, Paige.
Sorry,
got the wrong guest here, Joe.
We don't press send. We just
it just adds a level or two of you know, it's understanding that the sort of behaviours of these candidates that clients are appointing to make sure that they're actually going to stay with them. You know, so I just think it's really sort of modernize the recruitment process in a sense.
Yeah, it's the platform. You know, the client can log in, they've got access at their fingertips 24/7. You know, they can monitor the recruitment journey. It's professional, it's recruitment technology, and it's a big growth in the recruitment world. I think it's one of the fastest growing parts of recruitment is recruitment technology. So I think if you're not on board now, you know, you're going to be left behind, unfortunately. So
I think one of the phrases we use, though, with technology, as important as it is, you know, is it enables you to do something differently in a different way and make yourself more efficient. I think it's the efficiency gains that I think I'd like you to think about as well, because, you know, and again, and I say this because we've all done this, you know, when you're really busy, you know, it's relatively straightforward. I'm sure I'll probably get a bit of feedback for this one. Relatively straightforward to go out there and get jobs on at the moment. Yeah, anybody can go out there and pick a job, and you can run around and you might be working on 10, 15 jobs. But when you throw in CVs page, obviously you'll do a bit more professional. When you're just throwing CVs and lobbing them over the client fence, really, you're just hoping some of them at stick, and you've got to sort of spread yourself so thin that you don't feel personally valued in terms of the way you work. And what I heard from you there, Paige, was actually that when you use the word professionalism, actually you're going to your client offering a different type of service, and valuing yourself as well. There's self-worth here. In terms of what we're doing, I think that's really important for you guys. So interesting. When you started, because I know the answer to this one, it wasn't all straightforward though. It wasn't all plain sailing, was it?
It's character building to start with, but I think it's the best way I can explain the journey with our intro. It's when you first start recruitment, a full 360 role. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what a spec-in call is. You don't know what the recruitment process is. You think, why am I doing this? Well, the way that you guys give us things in little bite-sized chunks, really sort of helps you understand the process and finally tune it. You can tailor it to your own business. It's not just how I intro tell you how to do things. You tailor it to your business. And it's really now starting to build momentum. So, the bite-sized chunks, that bit is really important. You give so much support. We really appreciate it.
And that's what I mean. It's not just the technology, is it? Because it's the training and support. Because and I'm going to say this, and for my colleagues who've been around from my intro from day one, when we started out, essentially we were a software provider, a technology provider. But technology by itself, you can throw a piece of technology and put it into your business. Are you going to use it? Probably not. It's those other little bits and pieces to get you over the side of things so that you can actually start to use it and think about, how can I implement this with my clients? What's the value proposition? What's the differentiation that you can do? Those what we want to talk about.
Yeah, I think from my experience, everything is so well thought out. If you need any help with anything in terms of agreeing T's and C's, even so much as, all of the documentation that you can put white label and, everything is so well thought out. It's just, it really is that good. So that's one of the things that's really sort of helped us both really implement it, into the business very easily, actually. So
I think like you said, you've got to break things down into bite-sized pieces, so it makes it a bit easier. Because I think a lot of businesses sort of look at transition into retained and see it as the whole. You see the whole thing, don't you? And it becomes like, how do you eat the elephant? It seems so big. It's like, well, where do you start? And I know you guys spent a lot of time planning this to start off with, to make sure that when you took it to market, you knew what you were on about. You were confident in yourselves and your methodology, and you were confident in the platform. So what would you advise people to do at the very beginning if they were looking to take a business which, let's say, it's 100% contingent at the moment, and they were wanting to start to transition to retained? What would you say is some of the key things that they should be thinking about or doing right in those early days before they take it out to market, maybe?
I think it's having a look at, how much you want to grow your retained recruitment. We did zero. We've never done retained recruitment before. Yes, we've only just gone live with this, but we've landed 5 assignments straight away off the back of it with no experience at all. And I think it's good to sort of plan, what key clients you want to target, how are you going to pitch this as regards to new business. There's a lot to take on board, but I think once you've got your strategy in place, roll it out. And again, we're going to back it up with rebranding. We're completely doing a new website now. We've really taken this extremely, what's the best word, seriously. We're just looking forward to see where it's going to take our business in the next 12 months. We want to be 50% retained recruitment within 2 years. In the first 12 months of this year, we want to get to 25% retained. So, we want to transition slowly but surely.
And I think the key thing there, is that you're still running your business as well, aren't you? So you're trying to build all of this whilst you're also still trying to maintain a business and a revenue stream coming in.
100%. Yeah, you've got to put the effort in. You can't do any shortcuts, but we're reaping the rewards already. So happy days.
Good. I think, and one of the impacts, we spoke earlier about self-worth. What's been the impact to you with regards to the way that you now go out there? Because I know when you go and pitch for the first time, how nervous that is.
Yeah.
Because when it's a no risk, work with me. I'm a recruiter and I'll work for free and I'll run around like a headless chicken for the next 2-3 weeks and find some candidates. And then all of a sudden say, actually, if you want me to run around and work for you, you've got to pay me. I mean, we don't say it in that way, of course. But how did you feel when you went for that first pitch?
It is nerve-wracking the first time. You go to a client, because again, going back to that they're accustomed to a certain way of working, so it's kind of like, well, why do I need this? So it is nerve-wracking, but I think when the client really understands the value and the added extras that they get and the assurances that they get with it, it's they then understand, right, okay, this is something new, something different.
I think a lot of clients don't understand that their recruitment process is broken a lot of the time until you sort of asking and probing and asking the right questions and finding out what these pain points are. You really sort of start to understand what your client is all about and the issues that they have. That then instills trust with the client, and you can build such a strong bond with the client. You really can build a much more solid relationship. They trust you, you trust them, you work as a unit, not against each other. It's really helped elevate the business 100%.
And I was saying earlier that when you're working in a very traditional industry, the engineering industry, a very long-standing industry, and as you said, Paige, one of your clients had spoken with 100 recruiters, and that I know that's not an exaggeration. Those type of numbers, and you will undoubtedly have had and probably still get in the future some pushback, because particularly when you've worked with a client for several years, it's like, so what you do is okay. It's fine, and I think it's that education process that you've got to help educate the clients, the employers, with to sort of let them understand, as you said, James. The recruitment process, it's broken. And they sort of look at you and say, "What do you mean it's broken?" And again, whether you use those words or sometimes I use the word, it's flawed. There's room for improvement. It's like, what do you mean? So listen, what's your failure rate? And it's getting them to understand that, and actually it's this educational piece. It's this piece. We've spoken a lot about this before, Joe, about being a consultant, a management consultant who specialises in talent acquisition, rather than just a recruiter who's taking the job on, and actually working with the client and challenging what they do. And it's just about the acceptance that you're not going to win every deal, but then maybe they're not the right client for you. But James, tell me about that, because I know you have actually worked with an existing client and sort of taken them from how you used to work and how you want to work going forward. What was that experience like? And again, it's okay for it not to be plain sailing, because
100%. It wasn't plain sailing to start with, because sometimes senior management have to get involved to approve these things. But once the process started, I think we did some stats and figures. I think 97.5% of CVs that we now send over are interviewed. That's a really high percentage. We're really impressed with our conversion rates now. On average, it takes us around 28 days to complete assignments. So, we're filling them quicker than we historically have. And, the candidates only really normally interview 3 candidates, so that, they don't have to interview 100 candidates, whittle it down to 5 for second interview, 2 for final interview to make the placement. They're interviewing a handful of candidates, so it's saving them time, effort and money every single time. And once we demonstrate that to our existing clients, they're now on board with it. So, all good.
I think those points for the client, you sort of, you said time, effort, and money, but and those are points that we get across to people. How are you going to help them save time by not interviewing hundreds of people or interviewing hundreds of the wrong people? Again, how you can help improve their productivity by putting the right people into the organisation for better selection, better assessment, and that ultimately does save them money. So I think those are three points that we get across them. But I want to sort of focus on the value add to you guys. In terms of what it's done for you. So again, you spoke about differentiation. So I know now you've got those different USPs. Again, do you feel that this type of process, when you're in a contingent role, you're in a race. Now, when you're in a retained role, you can do better quality work and you can lock the competition out. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
110%.
Absolutely. You're not working against 5 other agencies, and you know, it just gives you the confidence as well to actually knock work back, you know, and
yeah, we're turning work down now
We
off the
really
back
are.
of this. So, you know, it's
Well, I think it's that productivity improvement, because you know you can turn work down when you've actually got what you work for. What's the point of bringing another job on just to go and skim a database and try and find some out there? So, and productivity. Now, one of the things that people always think about when they go retained is, what's the impact on my fees? What's that going to do to me?
Increased by 6% overnight,
Yeah.
straight away.
Now, I love numbers.
Yeah.
Does 6% mean you went from 100% to 106%, or does 6% mean you went from...
Basically, increased our average fee by 6%. So, you know, it's I think we're on 19%, and now we're up to 24%. So, no, 25%. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
Can I just for those people listening who like maths as well, and that's over a 25% improvement. 19 to 25 is a big leap. Yeah. And I had the same experience, because when I first became an iIntro client, our average fees were 19.8%. I was very particular, and obviously we went to. What I'm interested in, what's been the reaction from your clients? Because this is the thing, people go, oh, you know, because we sometimes get trolled, Joe, don't we, on LinkedIn, saying, oh, you know, you can't charge higher fees in this market, etc., etc.
Yeah.
You know, interested to know what the feedback from your client when you ask for a 25% fee, because half of the challenge is you asking, not the client paying, it's you asking. You know, what was their feedback?
It's tough, because you do have to hold your ground at that part of the pitch. You know, you really do. But I think as long as you've done your pitch right, and you can show that you can elevate the recruitment process, show them commercial downtime, show them the added value of what we bring to the recruitment process, it's very difficult for them to actually say no at that moment in time.
And that's because you've separated out from just providing a CV to actually now providing all of this, you know, added value in inverted commas. You know, what do you mean by that? Yeah, the key competency assessment, the video assessment, the behavioural assessment, all of those elements. It's very difficult for clients to say, no, I don't want to pay more. But that's a bit people sometimes struggle with, I think.
Most definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Paige, you said a bit earlier on, and just to bring it back to this, that when you're talking to your clients, it's about the assurances that you can give them as well. Which again, as recruiters, I think it's that we have a very short-sighted process in recruitment, i.e., you know, we focus on, we will send you some CVs. We'll focus on, we'll send you some people to interview. We don't really think about the long-term effect or benefit of what our process can do for a client, i.e., enable their growth through the recruitment and retention of top talent. So talk us through what you mean by sort of assurances that you can give your clients.
So by pitching for the higher fees, you know, the client's actually getting something back in return as well, because you're giving them assurances of up to 12 to 24 months. You know, if the candidate doesn't work out, well, guess what? You'll find them somebody else. And I think it's really, I mean, one of the clients that we're actually working with at the moment, I mean, their retention rate was absolutely really, really poor.
40%.
Hence they reached out to us. And I just think it's that added sort of confidence with the client that you're not going to run a mile. If the candidate doesn't work out, you're there for the long game, basically. So we found that's really, really helped us.
I think there's a difference there as well, isn't there? So you're saying sort of the 12 to 24 month, that's a replacement. So that's a free replacement, which again is getting away from this traditional 3-month rebate where, you know, if the person leaves or is asked to leave in month 2.5, you're going to get 10% of your feedback, which from a client's point of view, that doesn't work for them, does it really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's what you can offer. A client's not going to know within 8 to 12 weeks whether a candidate is right or not. You know, they're only coming up to, you know, a probation period. They're just simply not going to know, because for the first initial period, hopefully the candidate would be putting in as much effort as they can anyway, you know, and then that's where the behavioural bit comes in, because they will naturally show their
true colours after about 3 months.
Yeah, that's
3
very
months
true.
of one day.
That's very true. Yeah. So talk us through that. We've talked a little bit about behavioural assessment, and I know this is really important because a lot of recruiters, again, play devil's advocate and say, look, how can you give a 12-month free replacement if you don't know whether these people are going to work out? But therein lies another brilliance in that you do know these people are going to work out, don't you? So tell us a bit about what you've been putting in place that's different from a like a psychometric and a behavioural assessment point of view with your candidates and clients.
Well, the candidates are really on board with it. I think because we do the profiling right at the start of the recruitment process, not at the end of the process like a lot of clients do. I don't understand that, but there you go. I personally think now that the candidates got confidence, they want to go to the interview because they know they're a match for the role.
Yeah.
They're confident. They're more confident when they go to the interviews. They've really bought into it. And the client is also comfortable because they've looked at the psychometric profile, they've marked the candidate themselves. They now are excited to physically meet this candidate. Yeah. So the relationship's already sort of built before the client and candidate have even met, if that makes sense. So it really streamlined our recruitment process and then some.
And I think one of the things you touched on earlier is about, with the candidate relationship, and actually the value that you offer candidates now as well. So it's not, the three parts to a relationship when you're running a recruitment business. Obviously, you, the recruiter, the client, the employer, and also the candidate, and you becoming effectively more of a consultant to them, more of a career manager to them. It helps you attract people because once word will get out that actually you care for people. They're not just a number. They're not just a transaction or a commodity in the process, and helping them match that long term. And one of our favorite films of all time is Jerry Maguire. And it's not the line that people think. And Jerry Maguire, what he did is he really cared about his client. Yeah. As a sports agent, he was looking after Rob Tidwell, I think his name was. And it was actually, and that's what we do. It's actually helping the candidate and, knowing that, candidates, their careers are, every 3 to 5 years, they're going to be thinking about moving on. It's about giving that relationship. And those are the tools that you can do as well about how much you care about candidates. And I think that's a really important part. And then one final thing one thing I just want to drop in before we go towards the end is you spoke about earlier how that trust in that relationship with you. We talk in marketing terms about know, like, and trust, and building up what we call, client advocacy is something that's really important as we go forward. And we're going to be talking about that next week. So if you can tune into next week's show, we're going to be talking about how client advocacy can be a game changer for your recruitment firm and how you can actually provide this best in show service that James and Paige have adopted and put into their business, and how you can actually implement a social proofing strategy to help clients understand that, we really are as good as good as we say. So I think I just wanted to pull out some of those points because you've had some really good points in here today that people want people to listen to. So those snippets are, you've had a massive 25% increase. So if out there you're listening to this and you're currently billing 200k a year, that's an extra 50k. Yeah. You're doing the same job, but actually enjoying your job more because, as I say, you're enjoying your job that you're doing a lot better than many other people. You offer, a very different proposition to clients. You talked about, and you touched on it, you said 12 to 24 months, and Joe just pulled that out a bit. That's a free replacement. That's a value add process. In terms often to your clients, a risk reversal strategy, so that you as a recruiter say, listen, I'll put my money where my mouth is. Yeah. I'm not hoping someone leaves in 4 months, so you're coming to have to go and recruit through me again because the client has to blame somebody, so they don't go to you again. That's why the opportunities arise for other recruiters. But if something goes wrong, you've got a very different value-add service. So I think there's some great little snippets that you've drawn out today, and really do appreciate those things that you've come on to. Joe, some comments from you?
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people, when they watch our videos, and particularly we get a lot of people coming back and watching them, in the replay. And I think it's really nice to see people who are actually out there at ground level doing this, doing this day in, day out, and having the reservations that are really, really common, I think. Yeah. I think fundamentally, though, what I loved about what you said is that, thinking about recruitment in a different way, and getting our candidates and clients to think about recruitment in a different way. The recruitment that they experience it's normal, but it's not optimal. And that's the candidate and the client side, isn't it, really?
100%.
Brilliant.
Excellent. So James and Paige, as I say, I do appreciate the fact that, you're taking time out of your busy day, because your days are very busy. It's a busy time for recruiters out there. So just if you could just think of a summary as to, the differences this has made to you in terms of, on how you guys feel about the future, about where you've come from, and, a little question, do you want to go back?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not.
Never go back. Never go back.
The plan is to take it 100% retained. Within the next, I'd say, within the next 5 years, definitely. So no, there'll be no going back.
No.
Just pushing forward.
And I love the fact you strategize it, so and setting yourselves achievable targets, 25%, 50%, and whether you get to 100%, that's not necessarily the because there are all some roles which are better to be delivered contingent, as people say to you. It just means you've got a little bit of flexibility around the edges. So I think that's really good to have that as well. I hope you smash those targets, by the way, because the original company that we developed our intro for, a company called Grass Greener, they set themselves some similar targets. And they went through that, and by the time it got through to 18 months, they'd 100% transition. So it just depends on what your objectives are. But it's good to have those objectives and see yourself and setting yourself some measurable things so that you can know whether that return on investment that you guys have put in terms of not just money but effort. Return on effort is really important because it's there. But if you carry on with having increased your fees by 25%, we know that you'll actually get those particular pieces. So listen, James and Paige, from Joe and myself, we really do appreciate you coming on board. As I said, next week we'll be talking a little bit about client advocacy, as we've touched on, and you can see that some great advocacy points come out from James and Paige today. If you do want to get in touch with us, please click on the link below. From me, that's actually, first of all, I'll let James and Paige. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody?
Bye.
See you later, guys.
Okay, so it's goodbye from me as well.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye.